Today's workplace is becoming increasingly complex. With more and more people involved in the workplace, all the more effective communication is needed. However, communication can be very difficult, especially when you're dealing with people you don't know very well. Joining me today is business coach and development expert Treste Loving, who will be providing tips on effective communication in the workplace. Welcome to the show, Treste.
Thank you, Ruben. Glad to be here.
Well, Treste, the miscommunication is a natural phenomena in the workplace. Can you describe miscommunication in the workplace?
Sure. Miscommunication is just as it states. It's unintended. So when between the sender and the receiver, so a message comes from the sender, they know exactly what they want to say, they think that's what they said, and then when it gets to the receiver, it's something totally different. So it does happen quite often in the workplace and, just in normal. We experience it with family members, with, significant others, husband and wives. It happens all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Now, miscommunication tends to happen in a lot of places in corporate America, and employees suffer from low morale. How would you say the managers and the supervisors are doing their jobs generally in corporate America, and is there any ways they can improve upon it?
Oh, that's an excellent question, Ruben. And yes, the low morale, I think, is because managers, executives, and even some business owners not really are in tune to the diversity in the workplace. Because this time in America, more than any other time, there is a lot more diversity. So they're not fully understanding what they have in their employees. And I have an acronym that I call CATSA. And that stands for knowledge, abilities, talents, skills, and unique perspectives. And employees managers and the supervisors and executives don't recognize that in all their employees. So as far as motivation goes, managers, supervisors more so, supervisors and managers and small business owners, they're not in sync with their employees. So because they're not in sync, they can't motivate them nor engage them into the business process. So basically what you have employees going to work doing exactly what they're hired for. And if they're there for 8 hours, they're going to be there for 8 hours and then they're going to go home.
Right, exactly. That's certainly a problem in corporate America nowadays. What are some strategies in which could be implemented to improve miscommunication in the workplace and improve employee morale?
Okay, two different things there. So let me talk about the strategies for miscommunication first. Some strategies are, and it actually depends on if you're the sender or the receiver. So if we go from the sender focus, then he or she must make sure, or there are a couple things they need to make sure. First of all, that the environment that they're communicating in is an optimum environment. And that means that there's very little outside noise, no distractions such as that. They also need to take into account any cultural differences there may be between them and the receiver. And so they would need to adjust how they would communicate with that person based on the cultural differences. They also need to make sure that the receiver is understanding what they're telling them. So they would ask them to repeat back or paraphrase what they said. And they also need to check the body language of the receiver to see if they can look and tell us, I don't think you're getting what I'm saying based on facial expressions or things such as that. Now, the receiver has a big part to play in this too. The receiver needs to make sure that they're actively listening or they're engaged in the conversation as well. And if they don't understand what the sender is telling them, he or she really needs to tell them immediately, I don't understand, and why they don't understand what they're saying. So the sender, again, can adjust.
I see. And if employees are given the opportunity to show their abilities and their skills in their job, do you believe that those are ways that morale could be improved?
Absolutely. Employees are the people that make magic happen in an organization. And I've seen this happen. I've been in an organization where I was the diversity officer where it did happen. And once employers unleash their employees to be free and able to use everything that they have, that it is amazing the results that can happen. And all business owners need to do is sit back, relax, and let the employees do what they're there to do, and the results will surpass their wildest imagination.
Wow, that's interesting. And what can companies do to enhance or improve their communication throughout the company?
There are actually quite a few things that they can do, but it mainly centers around training. And the type of training, it goes by levels. So the executives, business owners, and vice presidents and high-level managers really need to get communication training. And that training will consist of verbal, nonverbal, and active listening training. Now, for everyone in the organization, they would really need to get cultural differences training so they can understand. So that would help the communication across the whole spectrum of the organization. And one thing that most companies probably don't even think of when they talk about communications is conflict. Because miscommunications and misunderstandings happen from ineffective communications. So handling and resolving conflict training is going to be key to keep things on track.
All right, great. And Treste, as a business coach, you have given the tools for the leaders to be more effective in their types of jobs. Can you tell us more about your background?
Sure. I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, and so I learned about diversity there because there were the only blacks in the town were my family, so there were only a few of us, so I learned a little bit there. I joined the Navy. I stayed in the Navy for 26 years and I retired. So I learned even more about diversity in the Navy. In my last 15 years in the Navy, I was a diversity officer, and I had 62,000 employees globally, so I learned a lot also by traveling to different countries and understanding the cultures there and how we didn't mesh very well all the time, so I learned different techniques and different strategies there. And I have a passion for diversity. I like it. I like to see how it affects employees. I like to see how they flourish when they're given the opportunities to be who they are and how they really want to engage in the organization. And I think it's just fascinating. And so that's basically who I am, and I'm all about diversity. And like I said, and it just was a natural progression for me after I retired from the Navy to be a business coach in diversity.
Wow, you have an outstanding background, Treste. Tell us more about the business coaching sessions that you offer.
Okay, basically what I do as a business coach, because diversity in business coaching is very unique. So what I do when I have a business coaching session, I start off with who is doing the work, and then I go into what the work is being done. So that is something, of course, a little bit different too from other business coaches. So I work with the executives and business owners and the managers, and I do an assessment of the entire organization. I do surveys, I do observations, I work on interviews, one-on-one interviews, and I also do focus groups. I take all that data, I meet again with the executives and the managers, and we come up with a plan. We come up with goals, and as far as it relates to diversity, to make the organization better. Then the final thing I do is I stay with the organization until we implement the goals and the goals are met. And I also will do training, anything they think they need to make the organization as phenomenal as they want. And I also at this time will be working with supervisors and with employees. So in a nutshell, that's basically what I do.
Awesome, awesome. Now, do you offer consultations?
Yes, I do. I offer free consultations. The consultations are basically like a demonstration. I demonstrate to the prospective client what it is I can do for their organization, because every organization is unique, particularly to their diverse makeup. So they're all going to have something a little bit different. So nothing is canned with me. So I would ask them, give me an example of a situation that's going on in your organization, and I would take them through the process based on that particular situation, and that's free. and I give them an hour and a half of that session. And then we go from there to see if we would be a fit for each other, if I think I can help them, and if they think they would be able to work with me.
All right, great. Now, if the listeners were interested in your services or a consultation, how would they contact you?
There are a couple of ways to do that. They can phone me at 571-384-6240, or they can contact me by email at tloving@simpleinnovationsbusinesscoaching.com. And they can always go on my website and take a little sneak peek and see if there's something that interests them, and that's www.simpleinnovationsbusinesscoaching.com.
All right, great, Treste. It's been a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you very much for coming to Community Central TV, and we welcome you and we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you for having me. It's been great, Ruben.
All right, my pleasure. Okay, for all you folks out there, thank you very much for tuning in to Community Central TV, and we will welcome you back on our next segment. Take care and have a good one.